Hi there, this is Mike Quinn, and I played Nien Nunb in Return of the Jedi and The Force Awakens. And you're listening to Chris Gordon on Hellblazer Biz. Yay!
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, listeners, wherever you are in the world right now, or in the universe. This is Hellblazer Biz with your host, as always, me, Chris Gordon. Perhaps today's greeting should be more in the vein of,
a good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, do I wish you?
As today's guest I have the privilege of talking to, who spent his entire career manipulating Muppets and puppets, and working in blockbuster films, bringing magic to the screen for the young and old alike. He's also known worldwide for playing a jolly Celestian named Nien Nunb in Return of the Jedi and Force Awakens. I'm proud to bring to you today Mr. Mike Quinn. Good morning for you, Mike, and good evening for me it is.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yes, it's perfectly fine. I really appreciate that you came on, and you know the support that you've given. It's brilliant. Thank you.
Oh, you're very welcome. Yes, it's going to be fun.
Hope so. I've saved my impressions for this interview.
Oh.
I know you've already heard one because I think I remember sending you a link. It wasn't a very good one where I sang the Rainbow Connection as Kermit.
yes, you did, and I listened to it. Yes, very good, very good. The thing is to have fun with that stuff.
Oh,
you know, and there's you can't go wrong as long as you're enjoying yourself.
Exactly.
So.
It's good fun. So, kind of going back into that, how did you get into it all? I mean, I know back when you were 13, you had the chance to actually meet Jim Henson himself as well, because you were a young puppeteer from age.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing. I was sort of, as a kid, I was sort of straddling between, I love puppet shows and live puppet things and puppet shows on TV and all that kind of thing, but it was sort of a bit pre-Muppets in the UK, at that time. I think the Americans were a little more familiar with them from Ed Sullivan's show and other things like that. But I was also into cartoons and Disney and drawing and animation and that kind of thing. So I thought, well, maybe I want to be an animator or a cartoonist or something like that. So I spent a lot of time drawing, and then when Muppet Show came along, I sort of became really curious. What is this thing? These are 3D real-life cartoons. How are these things actually working? How they made, how they moving. So I was trying to figure it all out, and then I'd start building my own puppets and try and gather as many pictures as I could of how these guys were working these things. Yeah. And of course, as you're probably aware, the Muppet Show kind of hit bigger in the UK earlier on than it did in the States. By the end of season 1 in 1976, 77, it was huge. They're in the charts and everything, music charts, all kinds of stuff. So, so I was at that right age where I was just kind of getting obsessed with it all and figuring out what I was going to do with my future life. The last several years of schooling, you start to look at all that. So that just became my thing, and so I was lucky enough to meet the main 5 Muppet guys in 1977. They were doing a guest spot on Kenny Everett radio show on Saturday on Capital Radio. And he announced it the week before, so I went along with my school friend, and we got on the bus and met them and got their autographs, and that was the very first time I actually met them all. And then a few years later, when I understood that they actually made the Muppet Show about half an hour from where I lived. I used to live in Enfield, in north of London there. Yeah. And so I'd get on a bus and ride my way past the security there, and I was a regular visitor, so they kind of got to know me. And of course, that's all I needed was encouragement, So I'd bring puppets along, and Jim Henson would put them on, and that'll give me a lot of encouragement. Yeah. Well, Muppet Show came to an end in the summer of 1980, as did my schooling. And I knew that there was nothing else anyone could teach me, and I was going to do puppets, and that was it. So off I went. I actually, they they moved over from ATV, which is now the BBC studios.
Mm-hmm.
They moved across the street to the film studios there in Elstree in Boreham Wood. So, and they began filming The Great Muppet Caper. So basically, I tracked them down on location and gave Jim Henson an envelope asking for a job. You know, I had pictures of my puppets, a little letter, and a newspaper interview article in there, and it happened to be his 44th birthday that day.
Oh, lovely.
And I think he thought I was giving him a birthday card, but so he thanked me for it, and off he went. And then within about a week or two, I got a call from the exec producer saying, we'd like to give you a tryout for a week on the movie as a a background puppeteer kind of thing.
Yeah.
And what I heard years later, of course, is that I think Jim just felt so bad for me. It's like, well, this guy's here anyway all the time. Maybe we should just give him a job, you know. And they did, and I worked for that 1 week. It was all location work that first week on The Great Muppet Caper, and they just kept extending me, and suddenly I became a regular. Yeah. And then at the same time, they were developing The Dark Crystal.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
So it was a 2-picture deal, basically, with Lou Grade. So when I wasn't filming on The Great Muppet Caper, the puppet builder Bobby Payne, who was one of Jim Henson's original puppet guys, actually, in the 50s. I think they even went to school together. Oh. He remembered from when I brought puppets into the Muppet Workshop on the Muppet Show, and he needed an extra pair of hands to assemble the podlings and slaves for the Dark Crystal. I think there were 100 of them in total, about 50 of each.
Right.
So I'd be at the Hampstead Workshop next to all the guys building skeksis and mystics and costumes and mechanisms and all sorts. And I'd be assembling podlings and slaves when I wasn't filming at the studio. And then eventually I got a cast in the role of performing one of the Skeksis characters. So it just sort of went on from there. I never really actually auditioned as such. It was an odd thing. I think Jim just trusted that, these are the kind of people that are obsessive enough to actually figure out how to do this kind of thing and learn on the job as well. I mean, I taught myself a little bit of basics, but you still kind of, the only real way to learn everything is just learn on the job. So he allowed me to do that, and he would have me assist him with Kermit, and Frank would have me assist with Fozzie and Piggy, and I'd be doubling up for principal characters in the wide shots and that kind of thing. So right from the outset, so I kind of learned my basic trade in those first few years, and all that I've learned at that time has stood me in good stead until this very day. It was an amazing first 2 or 3 years, basically.
Well, yeah, I mean, who else can, in fairness, who else can go out and say that as soon as they left school, their training and their experiences were with the legendary Jim Henson? That's a hell of an accolade to have.
I always, it was downhill from there, but I've been a has-been for the last 35 years.
Oh, no, that's great. But so I mean, inspiration-wise, I take it would Jim be an inspiration for you? Who else? Is there anyone else who sort of inspires you?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, anyone that all the people he had around him also inspired me. I mean, because he was one of those guys that knew how to build a good team. So, from the artists to puppet builders, performers, music people, and then the people that you work with that come in as guests and that kind of thing. Yeah. Just absolutely amazing. The careers that these people have had. And Jim always had a very, very deep appreciation of other people's work and art, and he sort of kept that ethos around him whenever he did projects. I guess I sort of was interested in learning about filmmaking itself and how that works and how directing works and editing and lighting and that whole kind of thing. I'm inspired by a lot of classic great filmmakers and techniques and music and it just expands out basically.
Quite wide ranging. No, that's brilliant. What can you remember? What your most memorable experience was working within the Muppet world? I say is because you're still within the Muppet world.
Yeah, there are so many memorable ones, and that's the thing. It's almost like because every time you work on a project, it's like a new job. Every job is different. And there are so many that you know. I mean, I'm going to have to write a book about just the career stuff alone because there's so much stuff. But every once in a while, you kind of catch yourself in a surreal moment. Here I am in the middle of these classic characters, and I'm a part of it. And you're looking at the screen, your TV monitor, as you're performing. So you're sort of once removed in an abstract kind of way. It's like you're the audience watching the show. Yeah. But then your brain switches back and thinks, oh, wait a minute, that's me on the screen working that character. You know, here I am working a character with Kermit and Fozzie and Piggy. And it's a real strange thing. I mean, just some incredible... I mean, I've always enjoyed working with music, with the Muppets in particular. That always seems to be the most fun for me, a highlight.
Yeah.
But some amazing things, like, I mean, just off the top of my head, doing the Muppets in, 2011, the Jason Segel film. You know, they closed down Hollywood Boulevard for the entire night. And we saw the sun set on one end of the boulevard, and the moon come up on the other, and the moon go down again. And you know, they had hundreds of extras and dancers in the street, helicopters flying around, getting aerial shots, and 2 units going at the same time, just bashing out all the shots. I mean, such an amazing thing. It's just like, wow, this really is Hollywood. Here we are doing a musical, you know, outside the Chinese theater here, and
oh wow,
yeah, it's it doesn't get more Hollywood than that. So there are moments like that just I think it's just having those surreal moments. You know, how did this happen? How did I get here? And being able to appreciate all that and everyone around you, because when you work on a project, when you work hard, it's kind of like everyone is supporting each other. You do become a family, and everyone's in the trenches together, trying to enable each other, make each other look good, and that kind of thing. And then the project comes to an end, and it's hard again, because then you have to say goodbye to your family, and you go back to your real life. You know, you can't be in that fantasy world anymore, as much as we all love to stay in it.
Yeah.
So it's an odd thing, but yeah, it's really hard to single out any particular memory, really, just because there are just so many.
I could
just helping. I mean, one lovely thing that always comes to mind is we were shooting. It was after I think it was a little after the Dark Crystal had finished. We were shooting some Muppet home video wraparounds. For it's basically a clip show, Muppet Show edits, you know. So they built a few little sets, and it would mostly be just Frank Oz and Jim Henson, sometimes Richard Hunt, that kind of thing. But I was their assistant for everything, you know. So there'd be a little bit of, like, for example, they have some little sketches that Jerry Jewell, the writer, would write about Kermit and Fozzie going through props in the attic. Oh, remember when we used this in the show? And then they'd go into the clip, you know, one of those. But I remember there was a bit with Kermit and Fozzie. And, you know, a lot of what Jim had to do was obviously run the business and deals and meetings and all that kind of side of things. But I think whenever he was at his happiest was when he could just forget about that, go onto a set, put a puppet on, and just play. He just loved to play. And he and Frank Oz obviously had a great relationship with each other, and a lot of love for each other, and they understood each other's timings. And I forget what they were talking about, but I think they just got into some sort of ad-libbing outtake stuff with Kermit and Fozzie, and it got to the point where tears were just rolling down their cheeks. You know, they were just cracking each other up. Just, you know, 2 grown men with a puppet on their arm, and they were just laughing, and it was just such a joy to see. Yeah, you know, that stuff nobody really knows about. On the same shoot, actually, there was I think one of the episodes was called Ralph's Rhapsodies, Ralph the dog. Oh yeah, and it was Ralph with all his favorite musical clips, I guess. So you know, we had one of the classic Ralphs there, and Jim was working him, and I was doing the other hand or paw, if you like, and he was holding one of those joke bombs with the fuse on the top, and I don't know what the heck I thought I was doing, but somehow I twisted the hand wrong, and the fuse touched Ralph's face, and he caught fire.
Oh no!
There's all the smoke coming up on camera,
Oh
and down went the puppet, and off it went to the workshop to get patched up. I just felt so bad. It's like, I'm going to set fire to this dog while it's on Jim's hand while we're in the middle of taping. Not a good thing. Not a good thing. So yeah, things like that are kind of horrifying.
I can
but
imagine.
I still worked afterwards. I think he understood. I mean, that's the thing. Jim was always very gracious, and he knew that these things happen. But so many memories.
Oh, it sounds. I mean, I grew up on the Muppets myself. I was born in '75, so I think it must have been a rerun by the time. Well, no, I think probably the original. Because I loved them when I was a toddler as well, so I was obviously just getting into them then. And
they were still running them during the final season during 1980, and then they ran them again, I think, too.
Yeah, and I can, so I grew up on the Muppets, so it's just, I can just imagine how much fun you had, because it's you just look at them on the screen, it's like, Piggy, you need it on set, Piggy. It's my bad Kermit voice.
No,
just
great
wait till you get my Yoda.
No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, just wait till you get to the Yoda one later. Again, because you've been in that sort of arenas for such a long time, what kind of advances, how much change have you seen in 30 years of working in that industry? Because obviously you've got CGI and everything now, but the Muppets have tried to stay true to what they originally have, so how's that sort of changed over the years?
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, yes, for me it's been 36 years now, so I think the biggest change was, we sort of saw, especially in the film industry, we saw a sort of a swing away, a trend towards computer animation, and everyone thought, it's over, the game's up, we're done, there's no more puppets anymore, they're washed up, nobody wants to see them anymore. And that was sort of certainly a fear that a lot of people had, both performers and fans alike, for that matter. But it never truly went away, and I always said, puppets have been around for thousands of years. They're never going completely away, and I just knew that there'd be a swing back at some point. Now, I got into animation, obviously, but as an extension of performing, but and I knew that computers were going to be a part of puppetry anyway, and Jim Henson knew that too, with all his CG puppetry stuff that he was developing. Yeah. So the industry did change. It kind of went digital, and we thought, okay, we're not going to see film anymore, and there's going to be less puppets, less hand puppets. There wasn't any real Muppet stuff for several years, to be honest. For many years, there was very little of anything like that. There were less commercial work and less film, less TV, and that kind of thing. So that sort of changed a lot. But then when it all kind of came back in the last several years, the basic puppet stuff hadn't changed at all. Everything was just as it was in the 1970s. The Muppet things, the techniques are exactly the same. Right. But now we have the joy of, if they want, like on the last Muppet series last year from ABC, they could paint out arm rods. We didn't have to worry about big, thick, giant arm rods. Right, now that the screens are bigger, more we have high def and much more detail. They kind of become more obvious than they used to be in blurry old tube cameras, with the low res and stuff. But every rod was removed on a television show, and if we got a head-in shot, they could remove that. We did some crazy wide shots, special effect shots, where there were several puppeteers in the frame, right? And they'd use camera control, computer control cameras, and they removed us all. I just don't know how they did that stuff, but it was we had Miss Piggy dancing on being lifted up by these guys. On their shoulders and put down, and there were 3 puppeteers behind her, and full length. And when we were shooting that, I thought, there's no way these guys can remove puppeteers behind all these flailing arms and dancers, but they did. Wow. And it looked great, all being puppeteered. I mean, so the technology has definitely come a long way to where what would have once been the one magical, hugely expensive special effects shot in, say, for example, something like the Muppet Christmas Carol, It's like everything was costing so much money. That was the early days of the digital effects in a film, I think the Mill and those companies were doing a lot back then. 90s, mid-90s, I guess. but they were hugely expensive. Now, you can do it on almost every shot in a TV show as long as it's built in.
Yeah.
It's amazing. So, and also a big thing that I noticed was lighting had totally changed. Back in the day, we used to have to use so much. The cameras were less sensitive, so we'd have to use much more lights, much brighter lights, hotter lights, and just more of them.
Yeah.
More direct lighting. Now it's like a totally different thing. There's LEDs, there's fluorescent tubes. They're all cool lights. They're a lot softer, a lot more subtle. They use a lot more diffused and reflected lights now, and this goes for film and television. They've kind of merged now, which is really interesting. Film and television there's really not much other than maybe the scale of the production of the unit itself, and maybe the amount of time you get to shoot stuff. The lines are blurred so much now. There's not really any real difference between shooting on film, shooting a movie and shooting a TV show. Now, on The Force Awakens, of course, JJ brought back shooting on film for that, which was incredible. And I thought we'd never see film again. And there they were with the film magazines and checking the gate and loading up the cameras. It was an amazing thing to see. But otherwise, everything else was. The film stock itself is more sensitive. They had, I think JJ had some special lenses made as well for that movie, which was incredible. So, but it means they can now use much more subtle lighting as well, which is really terrific. So I think the art form itself, the medium has evolved to where it can be a lot more subtle now.
Yeah.
We've gone past the look at me, I'm a special effect, woohoo, and now stuff's just like a set extension or and all the subtleties they can get now with the color timing on the images to get their mood or whatever, or just bring out one little part of a shadow, and it's I think we have a lot more colors to paint with our brush now than we did back when I started. So things have changed for the better, that's for sure. And now, anyone with a small home kit can actually make something quite decent, to be honest, in a small space now. You can make something professional for relatively little money. Couldn't do that 30 odd years ago.
No, you need a vast amount of money and a vast amount of space.
Yeah, and a vast amount of stupidity. But now you don't need that much stupidity at all to do something very good, which is great.
That's one huge side of your career has been in that area, and that kind of introduced you, from what I understand, into The Return of the Jedi, because you're obviously most famously in Return of the Jedi known as, I'd call him Nien Nunb, but you said he was Nien Nunb. So is there a preference on that one? Just quickly, before I go into the question, is there a preference on how you say the name?
Yeah, it doesn't matter, because it looks weird, and how is anyone going to know how his name is said when it's never actually mentioned in any of the films ever? So, I definitely cut everyone some slack. But my inside info is originally he was a background chorus girl. Basically he was a chorus line alien. Yeah. And he wasn't a principal character or anything like that. He didn't have any dialogue, and he was one of maybe 20 different masks, something like that, and creatures. And some of them had few sort of names in Jabba's palace, which they sort of adapted and changed later for the toys. They changed the spelling. Elephant Man then became Ephon Mon, and Banana Woman became Banan Nam or something like that kind of stuff. But he didn't have a name, and there was. I still have the sheet of paper. There was a list, and he was not literally number 9, and for his name they just wrote number 9.
Right, okay.
And then when he became an actual character that George plucked out later, about halfway through shooting the film, he wanted Nien Nunb to be the co-pilot for Lando. I guess they haven't figured out what to do yet for that. Yeah. They just knew, wait, Chewie's not there, we need someone else. Okay, who are we going to use? So I think it was kind of a last-minute thing. George liked the look of him the most, I guess, so he thought, okay, let's use him. So then he became Nien Nunb. At that point, I think he probably was still spelled Nienenumb. So, at least he had a character name. And then I think by the time the toys came out, then they changed the spelling again to Nien and then Nunb. But he was always Nien Nunb because he was number 9.
All right, okay. There you have it, people. It's Nien Nunb. I've been correct after all these years.
Indeed. Well, we had to tell JJ and everyone else. Like no one quite knew, and he's like got 20 different pronunciations.
Oh, so, well, if you had to tell JJ, then I'm in good company.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, in Return of the Jedi as well, you did multiple roles. I mean, you actually puppeteered. Was it Jabba's eyes?
When he was being strangled, and then there's a close up on his tail, which is shaking like crazy, and that was like a beanbag tail that they made specially for that shot on second unit. That was filmed like a month later or something, stuff like that. But when you're a puppeteer, though, you see, not only are you cheap, but you can do a lot of different parts at the same time under the same contract. So absolutely, I got to be a baby Ewok and help Tim with Snootles and Admiral Ackbar. That's right. And all that kind of fun stuff.
Yeah, you also got to help Frank Oz, didn't? Did you get to help Frank Oz with Yoda?
Exactly. Yeah, he had that scene coming up, and he was used to working with me on he knew I'd assisted him with Fozzie doing the right hand, so it was exactly the same thing basically. I was small. I knew how to keep out of the way and keep my hand up without pulling him down, and knew how to just perform certain things just right. So he was totally comfortable with choosing me for Yoda, which was certainly a big thrill, being such a fan of Yoda in Empire Strikes Back. I mean, I was a huge fan of Yoda, so to be a part of that was where it's just basically Mark Hamill and Frank Oz, essentially, to be around that environment for a few days was just lovely. Yeah,
fantastic,
very special.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Do or do not. There is no try.
I knew I had to do it. So I had to do that for you then. It's the only chance I'm going to get to do it to someone who was actually in the movie.
No. Never say never. Never say never. I say no. But yes, anything is possible, and that's the wonderful thing about this life. You know.
Yeah. You get, as long as if you put yourself out and work hard, I think you can do anything you want to be.
I'm not sure how much I really believe in luck and talent. There might be some elements there, but what that means, I really don't know. I think talent is years of hard work and dedication.
Exactly.
And luck is kind of making your own luck. Lining yourself, at the right time. I mean, there are certain things that you can't understand, like how did this happen at that time and that sort of thing, coincidences. So there are things we can't explain, but that's, I guess, a conversation for another day. How does the universe line these things up for us?
Exactly. That is a whole evening.
And what is destiny, and what is your own destiny that you create and that you make yourself? How much are we in charge and in control of that or not? So it's kind of interesting.
Oh yes, definitely.
But I do think we have a lot more power and control than we give ourselves credit for, actually. And I think we're our own worst enemies as humans and as individuals.
Definitely. There's some great examples. I mean, again, we'll be here all night, or all day for you. But it would be, there are some great examples where people have just overcome that and proved that you make your own luck, you can make your own destiny. It's just how much effort you want to put in to do so.
How much you're willing to do that, and how much you're prepared to work and sacrifice. And I think part of the secret though is to have a passion. So if you're really passionate about something and you really care about it and it makes you happy, then as much as you can without hurting anyone else. Then kind of follow that. Try and be true to that. And things change as the years go on, and you just change your passions as you go. But I think you can't go wrong. I mean, you're doing this right now here with me because this is a passion of yours, right?
Correct. Yeah, definitely.
And you made it happen because of that. So it makes you happy. Not only that, but good usually creates good also. It's in terms of energy, you've created this event, this environment of podcasts and things, and you have all these subscribers now and people that listen to it, so it does ripple out into the universe. To get a little bit hippie about it, but I think it's I think it's it's a creative thing that you're doing, and it shares out sort of infinitely. It's a great thing.
Thank you. That's really nice. Thanks. I appreciate that. But it's true. I'm not blowing my own trumpet here, but you are right. It's a passion. I think that's what's has kept me going. So I've been doing this a year now, but and like yourself for 36 years being a puppeteer, it's your passion for it, and I think that's definitely that's what you need behind you. It's passion. If you're passionate for something, then you can make whatever you want to do work for you.
Absolutely, yeah. You can get through the pain if a puppet's hurting or your back's hurting. It doesn't matter because you're having such a good time. The day that you cease to enjoy it and say, I'm done with this, I hate my life, then boy, you better stop doing that thing because it'll kill you, no matter what it is, whether it's puppets or driving a car or whatever. I mean,
exactly.
Just stop it because you'll hurt yourself, you'll hurt everyone around you.
Well, yeah, definitely, and and it's a passion as well, especially with yourselves as in acting. We spoke about just before. It's for people out there who just see you on the screen, and it looks so natural. It's like, oh, there you go. Look at them. Look at how easy it is for them. It's like, well, no, because there's probably about 100 auditions behind you, which you might not have been successful at just to get that one role.
Yeah, that's true. And all the days and days. That's the thing, we watched the 3D DVD of Force Awakens last night with some friends here, And, the movie breezes by and it's just a great ride and a great story and all those visuals unfold and make you feel and think all these things. You think, oh, that's great. And then afterwards I was thinking, wait a minute, this was, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people that worked on this thing. And it, even just filming the thing was months and months and months for everybody. Yeah. And then all the hard work and the long days and in the cold weather and the sweat and the aches and pains and then all to say nothing of all the post-production that took another year and a half or whatever it was. I mean, this is like a humongous, it's crazy. How did these people even pull any of this off? It's so much hard work, and you sort of forget. I forget that when I'm watching something like that, which I guess is good because you're supposed to get if I can switch off and just enjoy the movie for what it is, then I say it's a good movie because it takes a lot for me to lose myself in a story, before I start thinking, oh, that camera did the wrong thing, or why did they edit it there, and that stuff. So if I can ignore all that and just get wrapped up in it, then I say I know it's a good movie. But yeah, people forget how much work these things are just to get anything to happen, and how much pain is involved, and it's crazy. So you've got to love what you do. And taking something like that, for example, and Muppets too. I mean, everybody has so much joy in what they do, and they arrive on set smiling. They're happy, they laugh during the day. Yeah. What a great gift that actually is. Oh,
definitely. Laughter and smiles go a long way.
And again, it ties in with that passion.
Oh yeah,
and then we keep coming back for more.
Exactly. Oh, cool. I've had some questions in from a few fans as well, so I'll ask those while time speeds on for us.
Sounds good.
Amber Surratt is asking, first of all, what colour lightsaber would you think Nien would choose?
Oh, he would. I think. Let's see, purple would be quite nice. I think. Yeah, it might sort of complement his suit perhaps and his skin tones. I don't know. So that would be quite good.
Yeah, a bit like Mace Windu.
Yeah, maybe so. I like that. Yeah.
Amber's also asking, what's the favourite part of your character's personality?
Oh, actually, the favourite part is his, which we haven't really seen any of in The Force Awakens because it was such a serious kind of part of the story, with everyone dying all over the place. But to me, his favourite, the favourite part of his character is his sort of his kind of big-eyed sort of innocence, and there's the other side to him that we did sort of see a little bit in the cockpit in Return of the Jedi, where he'd have a little chuckle and he'd just sort of be, let's do this, let's go for this, sort of an innocence in a way, where he's just kind of wide-eyed and willing to do whatever's necessary without fear, and kind of and have a laugh along the way. So I would like to think we will see some of that at some point in the future, but You know, it has to serve the story, of course, but that is a big part of his character that I like. When I very first saw his face, you know, he just had these big ears and big eyes, and I just thought he kind of looked a bit like Dopey from Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, the Disney version.
Yeah.
You know, he had that look to me, that sort of appealing look. So that's my favourite part of him.
All right, excellent. Thank you. Great answer.
Great question.
We do love that little giggle at the end of
yeah.
it's perfect. Paul Etop, I think you've seen this one as well. Did JJ explain to you why Nien Nunb came back in The Force Awakens, but Lando didn't?
Let's see. Well, I didn't ask him. No is the answer. It's a very unsatisfactory answer, but it's the truth. I can see why he wasn't, though, because there was so much they had to pack into that movie. Still don't know how they even achieved what they did. I mean, I don't know how he would have fitted into that. Without giving stuff. Maybe my guess is perhaps they are saving him for something later, but I couldn't. I don't actually know, and I don't want to know. I'm happy that I only know my parts, because then when I see the movies, it's I'm seeing it for the first time, like everyone else. So that's great. Firstly, I think they're going to save him, but secondly, they had two roles to do in the Force Awakens. One was to kind of get us up to speed with all the old characters and satisfy, this is still the same universe, but 30 years later, and link everything up. But then they also had to introduce a new story and new characters. So for moving forward, they had two jobs to do, and somewhere in there they would have had to have shoehorned Lando in. Yeah. I mean, they barely got Luke in.
That's true.
When you think about it. So, I mean, they, I guess if it was one of their prime concerns, they would have made it work, figured out a way to do that.
Yeah.
But I didn't ask, and they didn't tell. And when you're on a set, it's such a busy environment anyway.
Yeah,
I mean, poor JJ had so much on his plate, and he was just an amazing, fun guy on set. I don't know how he did it. So yeah, I mean, burdening him with such questions, unless we were having dinner together or something, then I probably would have asked him. But that didn't quite happen. So,
oh, no,
I mean, JJ was very approachable. So I'm sure if that was the thing, my mission, I'm sure I could have made it happen and asked him that. And I don't know if he would have had an answer even. But
well, he might not.
But in my fantasy world, Han Solo plummeted down to what we thought was his death, and Lando was underneath in some sort of spacecraft and collected him and is patching him up right now as we speak. But that's just in my fantasy, so
like Empire Strikes Back type scenario with Luke.
Exactly. So I don't know. I mean, I'd like to think that's what happened.
Stranger things have happened.
Well, yeah. I mean, he should be dead from what happened to him, but on the other hand, we didn't actually see him die.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Potential. And it's funny what you said about Mark Hamill as well. Obviously, they only just managed to squeeze Luke in. I think that the best tweet I've ever seen is was Mark Hamill's response to someone who said, "Mark, goes, what was your initial reaction to when you saw the script for Force Awakens?" And he just wrote back, "Speechless."
Nice. Mark's great. He really
just thought that was so funny.
He's so good. He really is. He's really awesome. Got a lot of respect for Mark.
Excellent, cool. Greg Creech is asking, being an actor, you research a character as much as possible. So after Star Wars, did you follow the expanded universe at all to see if Nien was mentioned, to see how the character played out?
Oh, yes. Hello, Greg. Let's see. Only a little bit, yeah. I mean, it was so vast and huge that there was no way I was going to keep up with all that. Anyway, I mean, there was that one novel where I think Nien and his sister Nien Nunb were in the mines. So I did check that one out, because that was specifically involving him. Yeah. But I didn't really keep up with a whole lot of stuff. I tried to rely on what other people tell me and fans and things, just as a shortcut, because at that time I was busy doing all these other things and running my own company and goodness knows what. So there was just no way I would have been able to do all that. But I'm happy that he sort of. He captured people's imagination enough to stick around, and now, of course, I know they've sort of dropped the majority of the extended universe with the new thing. Although I know that also they can pull on things as they need. So it's been nice to see him pop up again in the comics and the stuff that there seems to be some nice ties with Nien and Leia, of course, and with the rescue and all that kind of thing. And so it was kind of interesting that they put Nien next to Leia in the Resistance base there as well. That was kind of cool. I don't know if that was an accident or deliberate, but it was good. And now, he was smuggler, and that's something that was talked about a lot in the extended universe, and in his biographical history. That I think is still part of his official Lucasfilm history.
Right. Okay.
So that I think is still part of his background.
Yeah.
So hopefully that will come into play at some point in the future. I would like that very much.
Yeah, excellent. It's expanding on that one then. I know, I've seen some rumours around. Will we see a young Celestian named Nunb in Rogue One?
Not that I'm aware of. I mean, I know
you can't talk about that. That's a cruel question.
Yeah, no. I mean, I saw the article and put it up there and thought, oh, that's kind of amusing. And
it'd be fun if it was.
Yeah, but it probably, if it served the story, they would have had that there, and he would have been around at that time, but I don't know what he would have been doing. But he was around quite a long while before the Jedi time as a smuggler, of course. Yeah. So he is kicking around in that universe in the early years.
Yeah, I've just read Catalyst or listened to the audiobook for Catalyst, which came out, which is the precursor to Rogue One. He's not mentioned in there either, sadly, but there's smugglers are mentioned in there. So exactly. I kind of had it in my little head. Well, Nien Nunb will be part of that lot.
It would be nice to see a young Nien. Perhaps VIII Nunb, hanging around in the smuggling side of the story, stories, or the Han Solo stuff or whatever. But who knows? I'd be totally up for it.
Excellent. Tracy's asking a bit of a cheeky random question. I bet Tracy, she's on Twitter. Were you able to sneak anything from the Star Wars sets that you're not going to find yourself in trouble with right now?
Right, let's see. What did I sneak out? Let me think now. Let's see. I think there was a muffin, a blueberry muffin. Let's see, what else? Banana. Definitely had a banana. There was, I think, some nice sweet and sour chicken and rice they had at the craft table one evening. That was quite good. Stuff like that. But it's an interesting question. I mean, of course not. I have not. That's the thing. I really have nothing but my memories and my scars. Yeah. But there's very little. I mean, everything's accounted for. That's the thing. The costumes are all kept for reuse for later on, or at the very least museums and that kind of thing, or reference for other stuff. Yeah. So everything of that is kept. The props are all numbered and accounted for by the prop masters. And the same for sets and set dressing. So there's really not, there's not, unless someone gives you something, like a director, producer, or someone in a head of department says, hey, you can have this, And those are the only times I've ever had anything from any movie at all, is when someone's actually given something to me. Yeah. And then that, which means basically I hardly have anything from any movie ever. So... unfortunately not, but that's okay. Maybe someone will be kind enough to give me something on in a future movie when they're all done with it.
Well, to be fair, I mean, you've gone, you didn't need to sneak anything. You've got the memories of being part of two of the biggest franchises, longevity-wise, in television and film history, Star Wars and the Muppets. Because in fairness, the Muppets, they've lasted what now? 36, 40 years, isn't it? 30, 40 years now. And longevity-wise, the two of the most long-lasting projects that you've essentially been. A trinket or a piece of moss from a set just can't compare with the high and thrill that I get of coming. When I come home every evening from those jobs, I'm always just so happy and uplifted. Nothing can compare to that anyway. So. Yeah. So plus, the friendships that I've made that are, and you make friends for life on these projects. So I've come away with those, definitely. Excellent. Okay, the last question for you now is, I know it's gone a little long, is from Carissa. And that is, as you've got extensive experience in this area, if they were to make you into a Muppet, what kind of character would you be?
Oh, let's see. I would probably be... I'll probably be a really annoying monster of some sort with an incredibly annoying voice. And there'd have to be lots of physical comedy and slapstick.
Yeah.
I think it would have to be one of the gag characters, one of the maybe not one of the principal guys that has all the work to do, but the ones that come on like Chef or Animal or Beaker and the gag characters.
Yeah.
So I'd love to come up with something like that. I've thought of a few characters that I'd like to bring to their attention if and when they're ready to introduce somebody like me.
Yeah.
So, but I'll keep them under my hat for now. But because that could happen in the future. So, they're usually pretty open about people having ideas for characters.
Oh, that's really cool.
Actually. So yeah. And we'll see what comes up next with Muppets.
Yeah.
We the last proper big thing we did was the amazing concert with Dr. Teeth and Electric Mayhem at the San Francisco concert, which was crazy. So I hope that we can do more of those. Yeah, I don't know. I want to say there's something like 60,000 people or something.
Yeah, it's huge.
And it was I think we were all in shock after that. We had no idea that it was going to be that well received. It was kind of a risk we were all taking, and can we hold our arms up that long, and will the audience buy it? But they did, and we were all pretty well in tears by the end of it.
I can imagine.
Just like, wow, this is just an amazing experience. So hopefully there'll be more of those anyway. But
brilliant.
But we'll see what happens, with the TV world and the series. I mean, there are so many options and possibilities, and it needs to be allowed to have the time to do it correctly and do it right. So it's better to not rush these things and get it right and give people what they want and have it be a good experience for the performers and for the Muppet Company themselves. So they're such a great bunch of people, so very creative and fun, and there's definitely more stuff coming down the pike later on. So
fantastic.
It was nice to do the Muppet series. It was a special time, and there'll be, I guess, some sort of evolution from here going forward. I don't really know what yet, but I do believe there will be something, which is nice. Yeah.
Brilliant, excellent. So, in parting then, Mike, after a fantastic chat, is there anything you'd like to say to the listeners before I stop the recording?
Yeah, let's see. If you've made it to this far, then congratulations. And why? No, not why. I mean, just thank you, because until I met with any kind of fans and interacted on any level, I had no idea about anything that I had done on, for example, let's just take Return of the Jedi. It was a job that I worked hard on, and it came to an end, and then I went on and worked on other things, and we didn't have social media back then. I wasn't doing any conventions. I was in my own little bubble, and I didn't really kind of understand what it meant to everyone and to what extent and what level. So when I started doing a few conventions and things, I was just like really in shock that people were enjoying this character that I performed. It was kind of like, really, you actually, and they were telling me things about the character that I didn't even remember, and they noticed the details and the little things and how much they kind of enjoyed that stuff. So and the fans have done that. Not just with me, but with other characters, other actors, other departments, within the filmmaking industry and within Lucasfilm, and believe it or not, in a roundabout way, that actually feeds back into the movies. So that because it's been around long enough, fan feedback actually does feed back into the movies and into the stories and into the characters and into the scripts, and it definitely feeds back into how I approach a character and what I do with these characters and what I do with Nien Nunb. They really like this part of thing. I'm going to try and get this in there, in a shot at some point in the future or whatever. So And the fans spoke out. They didn't like the CG characters for the most part, and they responded to that. And JJ and Kathleen Kennedy and everyone tried to put as much real stuff in there as they possibly could. It's fantastic. So that all comes from the fans. So they do have a voice, and that's really what gives it meaning.
Thanks, Mike. That was absolutely fantastic. I really appreciate your time and for correcting me. As you heard in my introduction, I called him Nien Nunb, but corrected throughout the interview, and it's Nien Nunb. So thanks, Mike. I really appreciate that. Those who sent their questions in, thank you very much. I hope everybody enjoyed listening to Mike. And, well, this has been Chris Gordon on Hellblazer Biz, talking with Mike Quinn from Star Wars: Return of the Jedi. Thank you for tuning in.